Hey, this is Monique. Welcome to One Mo Project. This is a 3-part video about how I made the pages for my grandson's busy book. Now, down the road sometime, if you're one of my grandkids and you didn't get a busy book of your own, shame on me. But for now, there's just one, and so I made one book. Anyway, this video is about how I made each of the pages. It does not include how I put them together. I'm not going to call it any names, but somebody on my production team maybe lost the video or forgot to push record, and between me and the cats, it's probably me. But anyway, if you can make the pages, I'm sure you can put them together. But this is just to give you some ideas on how you might make a busy book for somebody special in your life. So here's the colors and shapes and the numbers and colors pages. I started with some canvas fabric that was 26 by 13 so that it could make the 2 pages, and there would have to be a piece on the back of it for how I made that. We'll get to that later. With my Easy Press Cricut and cut out some Cricut shapes, I ironed them on there and the numbers, but the felt gave me a little concern, but it worked out fine. I just didn't know how hot the felt could be compared to the HTV, but it worked out fine. So I pinned these on there. I actually measured to get them kind of straight because, sometimes straight is good when you're paying attention. And then sewed around each of them in a U so that they made this little pocket to slide the button in. And if I had known now already what I know, I would have sewn across that open front edge first just to reinforce it a little, because everything about this book is a handle. Anything that he can get his fingers in to pick it up by becomes a handle. So I would have sewn a little bit across the front to reinforce it, but it's going to be okay. And I sewed each of the pockets so that they opened up toward the middle, because the buttons were going to be sewn on the ribbon in the middle. I just used 18-inch pieces of ribbon, and 3 of them, so that they went all the way across to reduce the number of ends I had. Instead of having 6 ends in the middle and 6 ends out at the button, there's just the ends out at the button, so it reduced the possibility of fraying. And stacked those up and sewed them all together there in the middle, and then sewed the buttons on by hand, because I wanted to be able to roll the end of the ribbon around so that it didn't fray. Now, if you noticed, the buttons have 2 choices. You can put them in the right color, or you can put them in the right shape. Now, he's still pretty little, so putting them in the pocket at all, even doing anything besides dragging them around or trying to eat them, is good. But as he gets a little bigger, it'll be more interesting because he'll have the option to put them in the right color or in the right shape. So I sewed all those buttons on the end of the ribbon by hand, just because it was going to be easier to roll that salvage edge of the ribbon up so that it didn't fray. Clip that off, and see, it can go with the triangle or it can go with the yellow. All right, on to the next page. This page is colors and numbers, and I used this paracord. I used like 7 inches of it, 10 pieces that are 7 inches. Here I folded that and did just a little finger press because I wanted to make sure I knew where the middle of the 2 pages is at, so that when I sew this on there, they're where they need to be. So I measured and marked 10 dots across the top and 10 dots across the bottom so that I could sew this paracord in there in the right spacing so that it would all be pretty. The pony beads that I used, when you do a rainbow, you typically have like 6 colors, but I needed 10. So I added a hot pink because I had them in the package, but I also added brown, white, and black. Now I have to say, I did 1 brown and 2 black and 3 white, just because I wanted to have the bright colors. I wanted more of the bright colors instead of having 1 nice red one and having 10 brown ones. So that's the reason I went that direction. So first I sewed one end of the paracord in place according to my little marks, and here again I sewed back and forth a little bit, not just across at once, because all of these are like 10 little handles in there. And even as a bonus, they have beads on them, but they are like 10 little handles. So back and forth a few times. And this piece, instead of trying to use my little bit of fabric on the back as a interfacing, I went ahead and ironed a piece of interfacing to this on the back to keep it strong as he carries it around by the little pieces of paracord. and then putting the beads on. Some of the beads went on without any problem. Some of them I had to work a little harder. The paracord and the pony beads size are fine together, but where I had melted the end, I fused all of the paracord just by melting it outside with a ladder. I even went outside instead of breathing in all the fumes and having them in my house. So sometimes the melted knot was too big, and all of the pony beads don't exactly have the same interior diameter. But so I was able to use my chopstick there to punch them through for the most part. But then I did get to one color that just didn't want to go on there, and I tried a little bit with a bamboo skewer, which kind of started to tear up the fused end of it enough that I had to redo that when I was done. But also it just was too small. This is it, the pink ones. I just had trouble getting them to go through. So after I mutilated that end, that fused knot a little bit, I decided to go to plan B. And that was just to make a tape needle. So a tape needle is you wrap some tape around there that extends past the end. It holds it all together. It gives you something to push through that's skinny so that you can grab it and pull it out the other end. Because otherwise I was never going to get all of these hot pink ones on there. And of course there's 9 of them. So I had to struggle with them. But the tape needle was the answer to that. If I had made it like with yarn or something, the tape needle would be a must to help get it through there, to fish it through there. But it was only necessary for one color with this paracord. And that worked out just fine. And then the red, it went on. It was good. It went on well. But there's the little tape. And so my tape stuck out a long way, and I had more than I needed, but I just cut that off and twisted it. So that's a good plan sometimes when you're working with things. Now, especially if you're working with something that's going to fray really bad, a tape needle can save you. And you can put it on there before you even cut it. But finally, I got all of the pink ones to go on there, because the pink was just fun. See the bright colors, more bright colors. 1 brown, 2 black, 3 white. They're necessary. They're just not as much fun. All right, and then here I'm going to sew it on. And as soon as I pick it up, I realized that I need to do one more thing. So I tied each of them in a little knot so that I wouldn't dump all the beads off. As hard as they were to get on, I'm sure they would have slid right off without even a problem. So I tied all of the paracords in a little knot just to hold the beads on there until I got to that color. So I didn't have to start over and redo it. And you know, sometimes we like to do it twice, but I didn't want to do it twice this time. So anyway, so now I'm going to sew across the bottom. Same thing, back and forth a little bit, because these are just little handles to pick the whole book up by. So I sewed them on there and refused that one. Refused? That's a funny way to say it. I fused again the end of the pink one that had frayed from my attacking it with the bamboo skewer. So now you have the numbers where you can see them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have 10 handles, or, you know, pieces of paracord across there. And then you have I have each of the colors, each of amount of beads, 1 through 10. So very fun. And there it is in the finished book. These pages have different things across from them, but I'll show you how to do those in a different video. And look at those cute little hands playing with the beads. And here, watch him. See what I mean about reinforcing that front edge where he puts his little fingers in there? Look how cute his fingers are, though. And he kind of gets it. He kind of gets that bead and tries to put it in there. Thanks for watching. I hope it's fun. It sure is fun to play with those little bitty fingers. Anyway, remember what David asked God. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. See you next time. Nice.